the invisible art of power. How stillness, strategy, and self-mastery shape the strongest minds. Imagine a force so subtle, so quiet, that it can bend the will of others without ever raising a voice. A force not rooted in chaos or aggression, but in control, awareness, and silence. In today's world, where everyone is rushing to be seen and heard, the most powerful are often those who master stillness. This isn't about weakness, it's about ultimate strength. Today, we're diving deep into the forgotten wisdom of the quiet strategist, from ancient philosophy to modern psychology, and how silence, restraint, and awareness can become your greatest tools. The misunderstood power of silence. Silence is often seen as passive, a lack. But what if I told you silence can be a weapon, a form of presence louder than noise? In ancient China, the strategist Sun Tzu wrote, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." What's often left unspoken in that quote is how silence can be a battlefield in itself. Silence creates space for thought, space for others to reveal themselves. It unsettles, it provokes, it observes. The quietest people in the room aren't always shy. They might be calculating, because silence is not about doing nothing. It's about doing the most with the least. Think about your own life. How often have you felt the urge to fill every pause, explain yourself, justify your emotions, overshare? Now, ask yourself, who benefits from that? Stillness as a strategy. In a world that rewards speed, stillness becomes subversive. Stillness is the rebel's path to clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, believed that power came from controlling the inner self. He didn't write about domination or manipulation, but about mastering the noise within. In stillness, you gain perspective. You become the eye of the storm. Everyone else is reacting. You're observing. Consider this. Predators in the wild do not sprint randomly. They wait. They watch. They know the power of timing. In leadership, negotiation, or even love, timing is everything. Stillness gives birth to patience. Patience gives birth to power. The psychology of restraint. Why is silence so uncomfortable for many? Because silence reveals. And what it reveals is often our own discomfort. Psychologist Viktor Frankl once wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." That space between what happens and how we act is where self-mastery lives. The person who can pause before reacting, who can hold their tongue when anger bubbles up, is not weak. They're in control. Power is not shown by dominance, but by restraint. The strongest person in the room is the one who could destroy you, but chooses not to. The observer's advantage. Let's talk about perception. Real power often comes from understanding what others don't see. The observer sees patterns. They read the unsaid. They notice when a smile doesn't match the eyes, when tone contradicts words. Observation is intelligence in action. Philosophers from Lao Tzu to Machiavelli have emphasized that true influence begins with listening, not speaking. The observer holds the key because they hold the full picture. In the corporate world, in relationships, even in politics, those who dominate conversations often reveal too much. But the one who listens, that person collects data, and knowledge is the original currency of power. The strategy of absence. Here's a paradoxical idea. Sometimes your absence is more powerful than your presence. Think about someone who walks away from a conversation gracefully, who doesn't react, who chooses not to engage. That creates tension, a mystery. It sparks imagination. In war, generals often feign retreat only to ambush the overconfident enemy. In life, detachment is a tactic. Don't be everywhere. Don't say everything. Don't chase everyone. Create a vacuum and let the world wonder what you're thinking. In that absence, you become magnetic. You become legendary. The silent architect, designing influence without force. The architect of power is not loud. They don't rush. They don't rage. They set intentions quietly. They move deliberately. They let others speak first. And when they speak, it matters. Think of a master chess player. Every move has meaning. They're 5 steps ahead, not because they're lucky, but because they're watching while others are reacting. Silence allows you to design, to plan, to influence without resistance. You don't fight the current, you redirect it. This isn't about manipulation. It's about precision. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to shout, because their presence is already felt. Applying the philosophy, tools for daily practice. How do we apply all of this in our daily lives? Start small. Begin each day with 5 minutes of intentional silence. Just breathe. Let the noise settle. In conversations, pause before responding. Let silence add weight to your words. Observe others without judgment. Notice tone, timing, subtext. Practice emotional restraint. Don't give every emotion a voice. Step away from drama. Practice the power of absence. And most importantly, know when to act and when to wait. Power that transforms, not destroys. Power is often misunderstood as dominance. But real power, the philosophical kind, is transformational. It doesn't seek to crush, but to align. It doesn't conquer from the outside, but from within. The philosopher king is not loud. They are luminous in their presence, subtle in their action, and deliberate in their thought. You don't need to be the villain to be powerful. You don't need to manipulate to lead. You simply need to master yourself. And in doing so, you change how the world responds to you. The quiet rebellion. So, in a world addicted to noise, be the quiet rebellion. Be the stillness in the storm. Be the observer, the strategist, the one who doesn't chase but draws in. Silence is not emptiness. It is fullness, waiting. Thank you for joining this journey. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who walks the quiet path. Like, subscribe, and let us know. What role does silence play in your life? Until next time, stay sharp, stay still, and let your silence speak volumes.